Hello, good afternoon. How are you all? I'm back with an afternoon session as this week we plan to have a lot of practice. So the this afternoon session would be understanding more about the subconscious mind, conscious mind, and in terms of NLP, this subconscious mind and conscious mind combined, they said it's unconscious mind. So we heard about conscious mind. It means right now you're consciously listening to me, right? But most of the information which we operate through is through the automatic brain, right? So I'm trying to make this video again and see if I can capture some great points and we can exchange the ideas. I did make my notes, but I'm going to be a little vague on, the subconscious mind and unconscious mind, giving with an example. So to make sure that you also come up with questions on that. Okay, so why am I bringing this topic this afternoon for subconscious mind, unconscious mind in terms of NLP and conscious mind? Because these are the three pieces of information via we store the data. In the morning, we had a wake up discussion about how much of bits per second information we actually have the capacity to the human brain that we retrieve, and we can save it and we can actually focus, right? So and we also talked about there is 2 million bits per second information available through an external event. Okay, so now how does the conscious brain works? How does the subconscious brain automatically, without effort, stores the data? And in terms of NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, they call this term unconscious. So to give that brief introduction, subconscious mind, just to speak, think that as if it's a submarine, like it's just sitting under your conscious brain, okay? And then unconscious mind is a term that NLP, they pick it, part of NLP terminology, they pick it, the ones that you don't, you're not consciously making choices, or you're not conscious about it. That's the simple, understanding about it. But a lot of confusion I've seen in videos, and other people were asking about, then what's the big deal about the subconscious brain, right? So the subconscious brain or the subconscious mind, let's take an example of a mobile. Okay, when you have a mobile, you have applications that are dormant. Like, let's say you've downloaded like a PDF document or your resume, or any kind of document that it's just sitting, but you're not using it. So it's just dormant. Let's say, there are applications. You have WhatsApp applications. Let's say there's a Facebook or Gmail or any application that let's say you just used it 5 minutes before. And right now that is not in the active state. Right now it's in the subconscious state. It means it's not active. Okay, I hope you're understanding. And the application, for example, WhatsApp is active. Let's say you're texting somebody, it means that particular application gets active, which is conscious mind. So I'm just giving this example so you understand the difference between how the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind works. If we really need to come up with, understanding the definition of them and with the example. But in NLP language, in NLP way, the way they don't use subconscious mind as a term. They just use, instead of subconscious, they use the word called unconscious mind. So so that's what I'm going to, whenever I'm going to use unconscious as when I'm going to, part of my topic, you just think that it combines the subconscious and unconscious together, right? So okay, all right. So when in the morning we spoke about, even though we have 2 million bits per second information available, we can only consume, or we can only process 134 bits per second, right? So how well are we able to put filters? And why are we doing this only 134 bits per second? So there is a specific communication model to it. And this is for everybody who has to who follows this strategy knowingly, unknowingly, even though there's information available. So I hope if you guys can Google, I think this is almost available anywhere. If you guys have your laptop or something, or you can replay my video. What I mean to say is that there's a lot of information available on Google, but I wanted to make it more simpler instead of making it complicated about bringing my notes and a lot of other Richard Bandler notes that I have from Tony Robbins and stuff. But let me just give you this example. So let's say, imagine there is an external event, okay? An external event, when it happens, so how do you retrieve data? What are the senses that you have? You have vision, right? You have auditory through ears, and you have kinesthetic, like smell, olfactory. So you have these three things, which is called VA. They call it VAKOG. So let's repeat it again. It's visionary, auditory, kinesthetic. I'm sorry, kinesthetic is like feelings or touch, and then olfactory, and then gustatory. Gustatory is through your mouth. So how do you sense feelings? If you see something, you capture that information and store it. If you hear something, it's auditory. You learn the data and you store it. You smell something, you store it. You eat something, you remember that taste and you keep it. And then, all this sorts of information coming through your five senses, right? Everybody knows about that. So even though there's 2 million bits per second information available, only through these senses, the 134 bits per second is what you're processing, right? How do you process? I think we discussed this already before, that we process either based on our religious beliefs or based on the accumulated memories, the way we are brought up, the school we went to, the friends we hung out with, and the family values or belief systems and whatnot. So based on these belief systems or these accumulated memories is what we put filters. We put 3 different filters to our mind, and everybody does this, guys. So deletion, distortion, and generalization. We generalize data, we delete data, and we distort data based on this 2 million bits per second. And that's why I said we can only process 134 bits per second. So we delete that, we generalize based on our previous accumulated belief systems, and we delete what's not necessary for us, and we distort them. Sometimes we do misunderstand, or sometimes we represent in our own way based on our understanding or our perceptions, right? So that's what the 3 filters we put, and most of the time, are we right or are we wrong? This is what NLP is going to help us. How should we literally delete, distort, and generalize data? Instead of doing unconsciously, how much conscious effort can we make, right? So that's the most important NLP teaches in communication model. There's a lot of pictures if you go to Google and try to find some images. With that, I'm just trying to share something. There's lots and lots of data, but I want to be more practically helping you out. So your beliefs, your decisions, your attitudes, your memories and values, like I said, all these things based on your 5 senses, your visionary, your auditory, your kinesthetic, your olfactory, and your gustatory. You eat some nice taste, biryani or something, and then you remember that taste, and after 10 years, you still remember that biryani taste, right? You smell some jasmine flower somewhere back in your, let's say somewhere in your farmland, and then you remember that. That's the knowledge. Similarly, the vision, like you go to a beach, you have seen a beautiful, spectacular view, and then you save it. Your olfactory, the kinesthetic is like the touch and the feelings, anything you're giving, anything with the touch that you store it, right? So with these kind of information, the senses that you have, and the beliefs and decisions and attitudes and values and all these, filters you put based on these things. Right? And I said the 3 filters you do is deletion, distortion, and generalization. Everybody does that. Now, the point is, how do we know that we are deleting, distorting, and generalizing about the external event in the right way? That is the most important thing that NLP teaches. And the NLPers, their perception about their view about the communication model is understanding what you are representing inside based on the external event, based on how you perceive people, and based on the original belief systems that you have. So this will help you identify your inner, useless belief systems, to nullify them, clean them up in your brain's database, and then reprint with the nicest, bestest possible, outcomes for your smart goals. So why are we doing this? And in the beginning of the video, I started talking about conscious mind and subconscious and unconscious mind. So like I said, NLP uses unconscious mind as per the term. So if unconsciously we delete, we distort, and we generalize data, right? And we do that based on our belief systems. So these belief systems, or these distortions that we do, are based on the language patterns. Everybody has their internal own language system that they follow, right? So then you have an internal system, a representation, and that creates your state of mind. And remember, eventually it will change your physiology, and that physiology may change your behavior, how you behave to yourself, how you behave to the external world. So now let's think everything in the brain like there is an external event. There is a 2 million bits per second information available, but you, based on your this visionary, olfactory, gustatory, auditory, with these 5 senses, you are putting 3 filters: deletion, distortion, generalization. And how are you doing these 3? Based on your values, your beliefs, your attitudes, your memories, your accumulated memories, and your religious beliefs, all that stuff, creating your state of mind. Because you store that data. Once your state of mind is created, what happens, it changes your physiology, your face, your the way you express things, the attitude changes, and then at the end your behavior starts changing. So this is what is a communication model in NLP they teach us. And that's why we wanted to literally understand our 5 senses, our filter systems. Are our filter systems working in the right direction, which is going to benefit us and benefit the external world? And we generalize a lot of data. Trump is good, for example, Democrats versus Republicans, or, based on India, country, China, lots of things we generalize. Do we know for the fact that they are truth? But everybody, based on their understanding, their learning capability, or their groups that they involved in, they have the representational system, right? And so we don't know if it's right or wrong, but are we not responsible to make it to the bestest way, right? So it's helping us. And in the morning, like I discussed, like what you talk to yourself is most important. That's why we need to understand this communication model, how your mind works, the mind faculties, if it's creating the number of thoughts, how many of those thoughts are useless? How can you nullify that useless thoughts and use more of positive thoughts, right? So if you understand the senses, and each sense, how it can store data, and if we can utilize that 134 bits per second to the maximized level of bestest information to delete and distort and generalize, then it's going to be helpful. It means we need to set smart goals, and then you have to visualize what's you needed. There's nothing impossible. People do talk about law of attraction, and like this particular NLP session, Richard Bandler, John Grinder, they modeled all the successful people. They had Virginia Satir, who is a hypnotherapist, and she helped a lot of mentally challenged children, then they had their own therapy that they worked more than 50,000 people, I guess. So they've copied their models, and they've come up with this beautiful NLP course. So that's what I wanted to explain you today, that there is a communication model that we talk to ourselves, and there's a communication model that we can utilize. Once we understand this terminology, our physiology, we can change, we can be more happier. The state of mind can impact if you're more conscious about it. So the whole idea about explaining about this conscious brain, unconscious brain, is about how much conscious effort you're making to know who you truly are, right? And unconsciously, the things that without knowing you're learning. Even there's a lot of information available around you, but because you delete and distort, generalize only based on the filters that you grew up with, your accumulated memories. So how can we change that, right? And help our own self and communicate with the external world. So NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, is a beautiful study that I've identified in this year, and I think we all should utilize this code. So that's about it for this afternoon, and we'll discuss more about how the unconscious mind works in our next session, and how can we understand the power of that subconscious brain. I mean, in NLP they use unconscious, but there is a book, if you might have read already, Joseph Murphy. If you have not, I would highly recommend to read it. But you would understand to trick your own subconscious brain and give the right set of data, because you're 99%, if not 99, at least 95%, most of our behavior is automatic, right? It's already stored, it's already accumulated based on a belief system. We just automatically flow. How much conscious effort we are consciously choosing our day-to-day activities or our goals, or from the time we get up till the time we go to bed. And remember, we sleep for 8 hours. So if you're living, let's say, for 70 to 80 hours, now you can calculate how many hours we are sleeping. So how much conscious effort we needed to make, not just understanding knowledge, but how can we implement that in the right way to understand us, self, and to be an impact to the world, right? So at last, your journey begins from within. You want to join me? Yes, I know you want to join me. So thank you so much for listening, and I will come back with the next session. And thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.